Welcome back and welcome to the Citizen Channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. And part two of our Obrigado Gabby, and we look back at his wonderful stay at City of such a loyal servant, a great player. And we got to part two. We finished part one, and we're going to look at his 2018-19 season. He started off pretty well. He signed an extended contract, to everyone's delight. The fans, the manager, the player, Uncle Joe Cobley, Pete the Badge, everybody. 3rd of August 2018, he signed a new contract extension which would keep him, or hopefully, which it didn't, at Manchester City until 2023. So let's get on to the season 18-19. How's he doing? Well, we know he's had a bit of after a great start. A bit the cracks were showing as far as him being let's face it, Sergio's replacement, which is what most people thought he was going to be. But he had other skills, didn't he? Of course he did. So season 18-19, Gabby was the 68th minute substitute for Mahrez in the 2-0 Community Shield win over Chelsea at Wembley. And he scored in his very first start in City's first home game of the season, a 6-1 pasting of Huddersfield. He scored his first ever hat-trick, yes, including 2 penalties. Yes, he could score a pen. He could miss them as well, but he could score a pen on the 7th of November in a 6-0 romp against Shakhtar Donetsk at the City of Manchester Stadium, or the Etihad, or whatever it was called then, I forget. But we're starting more games than ever on the bench now. The addition of Mahrez to the forward line may have had a big bearing on that. Of course, it also relied on how fit Sergio was. But Pep rarely wanted to play Aguero and Jesus seemingly in the same lineup. In January, he knocked 7 goals in just 3 games, including on the 9th of January 2019, scoring 4 goals. He would match that later on. But obviously, later on in this part, we'll talk about that. Scoring 4 goals in the first, actually the third part, I think, isn't it? Scoring 4 goals in the first time in his career against Burton Albion. All right, not the greatest opposition in the Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg, of course, in that 9-0 victory. Despite his contribution in the Carabao Cup semi versus Burton, he would miss out on a place in the final, and the penalties win against Chelsea, unfortunately. But that was sort of story, typifies Jesus' stay, I think. But it was crucial back at Wembley, of course, for the semi-final matchup with Brighton, when his headed goal after just 4 minutes was enough for City to book a Wembley final spot. And in the final, of course, he would score twice in the 6-0 win over Watford. City had won and never been done before, after following on from the 100 points the previous season, a domestic treble, adding the Community Shield, and Jesus was an integral member of the Formidables. His stats for this season: league 8 starts and 21 as substitute. That's a massive amount as substitute. 7 goals. And the Cups, 13 starts, 5 as substitute, and 14 goals. On the 22nd of June 2019, yes, Jesus switched his shirt number from the number 33 to the number 9. Odd. I thought it was odd anyway. I know it's making a point, but we knew he wasn't going there eventually. Based on last season, perhaps he should have been given a number 12 rather than a number 9. And I daren't ask who was crucified at the age of 9, but a bit more on that in part 1, guys. You'll know what I'm on about in that one. He saw action early in the Community Shield matchup with Liverpool after an injury to Sane, of course. As City won on penalties, and Jesus kept cool to score the winning penalty. He then opened his goal count early with the first in a 5-0 victory at West Ham on the opening day. In 4 starts from mid-September to mid-October, he scored a goal in every game. But his best runs of games always seemed to be when Sergio was out of the frame. The goal against Palace on the 19th of October left him with a ridiculous stats of 50 goals from 64 starts. All right, that excludes coming on as substitute appearances, but very, very impressive. 50 goals from 64 starts. As Liverpool began to dominate the league by Christmas, it was Jesus who spoke for the players, claiming City will fight tooth and nail to retain the Premier League title. Well, we've got to say that, aren't we? And he himself was putting his boots where his mouth was, scoring 6 goals in 5 starts, although a hat-trick at Dinamo Zagreb wouldn't have any effect on the league, of course, but at least he was scoring the goals. That was on December the 11th. He scored a hat-trick against Dinamo Zagreb. He became the 3rd highest scoring Brazilian then at that time in Premier League history, behind Firmino and Coutinho. Strange enough, for all the goals he was scoring, his goal against Leicester on the 21st of December was his first at home since last March, and he started the new year with both goals at home in a 2-1 win against Everton on New Year's Day. He picked up another Carabao Cup winners' medal as City beat Aston Villa. After the break for COVID, he scored 4 in the last 5 games. He's never far away, was he, to finish the COVID-affected season on a high. So he's 19-20, as I said, the COVID-affected season. His stats for that season, he made 21 league appearances, 13 as sub, so not a bit less than the season before. 14 goals, impressive again. Cups, 11 starts, 5 as a sub, and 8 goals, equally as impressive. He's always really good in the Cups, although he didn't get many Champions League starts. On to season 2021, and of course this was the mainly behind closed door season, and again Jesus scored in an opening day win at Wolves in a 3-1 victory, but missed the next 8 games through a thigh injury, and City struggled early on with 12 points from 7 games. 12 points from 7, I would have took that a few years back, wouldn't you? But that was a struggle at the time. Everyone's writing us off as usual. Jesus recovered earlier than expected and came on as a 69th minute sub at home to Olympiacos on November the 25th. And yep, he scored the second in a 3-0 victory. And he got a start in the biggie against Liverpool at home. Jesus equalised the Salah goal in a 1-1 draw and also missed a big chance to win the game. But Pep was pleased, or he seemingly was pleased anyway, with his energy and the goal, which he did take superbly, but he did miss a harder, an easier chance. City's title hopes are being written off by this stage, with not even 10 league games being played. Do they never learn? No one never learns. Fans, media, they don't, do they? Jesus was going through a quiet patch on the goals front, but his contribution as City tried to get their act together was never in doubt. At Christmas, Gabby came down with COVID that kept him out after a goal against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup quarter-finals, a 4-1 win. He didn't look fully fit at all, or at it really, on his return, despite being on the score sheet in rounds 4 and 5 of the FA Cup, and a little out of sorts in the league. As City hit top spot after 19 games at the end of January, but you can't keep a good Brazilian down, and 2 goals in 2 games prior to the biggie at Liverpool wasn't enough to give him a start, but coming on as a sub, he gained an assist in a great and rare win by 4-1. But perhaps for the first time, there were hints, that despite Jesus' contributions, there was still a doubt about his goal scoring. He was wearing the number 9, guys. How dare you? I think it had been decided long ago that it was not an obvious replacement for Sergio. We knew that. City returned to Merseyside a few days later, and despite Jesus providing an assist in the 3-1 win at Goodison Park to take City 10 points clear at the top, he missed 2 very good chances, and it brought the newspaper headline, "It's 10 clear, but Pep's on the lookout for a number 9. If psychologically these things affected our number 9, Gabby, we saw no evidence as he continued to do his best for the club. As City started to dominate the league, he had another purple patch in March and early April with 4 goals in 4 league games. After a couple against Wolves on March the 2nd, Pep heard about his number 9. He said, people don't realise just how much sacrifice Jesus makes for the team in terms of making runs and dropping deep to create space for others. City's defence makes space for others. City's defence of the Cups ended at Wembley, of course, in the FA Cup semi-final defeat to Chelsea. And Jesus, as most of the team that day, looked a little bit out of sorts. He didn't get the chance to redeem himself back at Wembley in front of the fans in the Carabao Cup. I was there that day on the 25th of April. He was an unused sub, of course, in our victory against Tottenham. The City clinched the title. He will score again in the limited crowd last game of the season match against Everton, but would not be enough to earn him a Champions League final starting spot. He did come on to replace KDB on 60 minutes, but he couldn't affect the result. Perhaps more than ever, we'd seen the inconsistencies of Jesus this season, not helped, of course, by not having a good run of games. I mean, the most he was getting was probably 4 or 5 games, and that was it. And, of course, even if he had a good game, there was never a guarantee he'd start the next one. In the Champions League, he literally only started 2 games that season, say, in a run that took us to the final. King of the Kipats, class of 2021. His season was summed up. What issue was that one? King of the Kipats, issue 279, September 21. Yeah, his season was summed up thus. Another one who polarised his opinion, Gabby Jesus. Personally, I love Gabby Jesus, and I share Pep's opinion that he's the best defensive striker in the business, apart from his rush of blood at home to the rags. The man works like a navvy. He'll hound the life out of dozing centre-halves. He'll put his body on the line against opponents twice his size. He's also quite skillful, a little so-and-so, and some of his link-up play is excellent. The downside, however, is that despite stats indicating the contrary, he's not a particularly good goal scorer. Purely my opinion, of course, and he's possessed of a tendency to scuff the ball. Apart from that curling beauty he bagged at Turf Moor a couple of years back, off the top of my head, I can't remember Gabby ever scoring a goal from more than 12 yards out. Never mind a from the edge box or beyond, a decent enough Johnny on the spot, but a ruthless finisher who pulls the irons out of the fire with an unexpected pile driver? Nah, never going to play the lead role on a regular basis. Yes, all very prophetic, really. We looked at the King of the Kippax in part 1 as well. That was equally as pathetic. And what I like about Gabby as well, he was very spectacular with his goals, wasn't he? I mean, even his headed goals. Sometimes he got into all sorts of bendy shapes to score his goals, and that's what I liked about him. But yeah, not a gushing report there in the King of the Kippax. His season stats for this season: Cups, 8 times, 5 as substitute, 5 goals. So again, he's still scoring the goals. And in the league, 22 starts this time, with just 7 on as substitute and 9 goals. So not too bad at all. So please join me in part 3. Yes, as we sadly look at the 21-22 season, his last season. Let's see how he does, and I'll give you my views on what briefly anyway, a summary of what I thought about Gabby. For me, I will say it now, definitely a City legend, but join me for part 3 for that. Hopefully, let me know your memories. Let me know your memories of Gabby. It'd be great to hear back from you. Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.